So you've got 10,000 sitting in the bank. For some people, that feels like a small fortune. For others, it doesn't seem like much at all. But here's the truth. What matters isn't the number, it's what you do with it. That 10,000 can either sit there slowly losing value to inflation, or it can become the foundation for building real financial freedom. The problem is, most people don't know where to start. They either spend it too quickly on things that don't last, or they let it sit idle while prices rise and eat away at its value. The reality is, 10,000 can change your future if you make the right moves with it. Today, I'm going to walk you through 4 powerful steps that can turn 10,000 from just a number in your account into something that actually works for you. These aren't get rich, quick tricks or risky gambles. They're proven strategies that will protect your money, grow it, and even increase your earning power. Because at the end of the day, money is a tool. And if you know how to use that tool properly, the 10,000 is more than enough to start building the kind of life you want. Protect yourself with an emergency fund. The very first thing you should do if you've got 10,000 in the bank is make sure you're protected. And by protected, I don't mean buying insurance policies or locking your money away in some scheme. I mean building yourself a solid emergency fund, money that's set aside purely for life's unexpected surprises. Because let's be real, life loves throwing curveballs. 1 minute, everything's smooth sailing, and the next you've got a car breakdown, a sudden medical bill, or even worse, you lose your job. These things don't wait until you're financially ready. They just happen. And if you're not prepared, you can end up in debt faster than you can imagine. This is why an emergency fund matters so much. It acts like a safety net, catching you when life knocks you off balance. Without it, you might be forced to swipe a credit card at 20% interest or take out a loan just to cover basic expenses. That's how people get stuck in the debt cycle. Now, how much should you set aside? The rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. Let's say your bills, rent, food, and other essentials cost $2 a month. That means you'd want an emergency fund somewhere between $6,000 and $12,000. If you've only got a $10,000 total, don't panic. You don't need to cover 6 months right away. Even setting aside $3,000 to $5,000 is a great start. Here's the key. This money needs to be liquid and safe. That means it shouldn't be tied up in stocks, crypto, or anything that can lose value overnight. The point of an emergency fund isn't to grow your money, it's to protect you. So the best place for it is a high yield savings account or money market account. That way it's safe, easy to access, and at least earning you a little interest while it sits there. Now, you might be thinking, but if my money is just sitting in a savings account, isn't it losing value to inflation? Technically, yes, but that's not the point. This isn't an investment. This is insurance. You're paying for peace of mind and stability. Trust me, when your car suddenly needs $2,500 worth of repairs, you'll be glad you've got cash ready instead of maxing out a credit card. Here's a story to make it real. Imagine 2 people, James and Alex. Both have 10,000 in the bank. James puts 4,000 into an emergency fund in a savings account, then invests the rest. Alex, on the other hand, invests all 10,000 because he thinks it's smarter. A few months later, both of them lose their jobs unexpectedly. James dips into his emergency fund, covers rent, food and bills without stress, and takes his time finding a new job. Alex, he's forced to sell his investments at the worst possible time, locking in losses just to pay his bills. Same starting point, very different outcome. That's the power of an emergency fund. Another benefit people don't often talk about is how it affects your mindset. When you know you've got a cushion to fall back on, you make smarter financial decisions. You're not desperate. You're not panicking. You can take your time to find the right job, negotiate better deals, or stay patient with your investments. On the flip side, when you're unprepared, every decision is made out of fear, and fear leads to mistakes. So how do you actually build this emergency fund if you don't have one yet? Simple, start small. If all you can put aside is $1,000 right now, do it. That alone is enough to handle most small emergencies, then build from there. Every time you get paid, peel off a portion and add it to your fund until you've reached your target. Think of it like building a wall brick by brick. It might take time, but once it's up, it's solid protection. And here's the golden rule: don't touch it unless it's a true emergency. A holiday isn't an emergency. A new phone isn't an emergency. An emergency fund is for things like losing your income, unexpected medical bills, or urgent repairs you can't avoid. Treat it as untouchable, and it'll always be there when you need it. So, before you think about doubling your money, investing in stocks, or starting a business, the first step is security. Protect yourself first, because when life hits hard, and it will, it's not the person with the flashy investments or the new car who survives. It's the one with a solid emergency fund. That's the foundation of financial freedom. Kill off high interest debt first. Now that we've talked about protecting yourself with an emergency fund, 8, the next thing you need to focus on is wiping out any high interest debt you're carrying. Because let me tell you, debt is like a hole in the bottom of your financial bucket. You can keep pouring money in, but if you don't plug that hole, it'll just keep leaking out. Here's the problem: high interest debt doesn't just hold you back, it chains you down. Whether it's credit cards, payday loans, or even personal loans with steep rates, these debts eat away at your wealth faster than you can build it. A credit card charging you 20% interest isn't just a small fee, it's a financial parasite. Every month you carry that balance, you're feeding it, not yourself. Let's do a quick example. Imagine you owe $5,000 on a credit card with a 20% interest rate, and you only pay the minimum balance each month. Do you know how long it'll take to pay that off? Over 20 years. And the worst part, you'll pay almost $6,000 in interest alone, more than the original debt. That's why ignoring high interest debt is one of the costliest mistakes people make. So, how do you tackle it? There are 2 popular methods. The avalanche method. You list all your debts, starting with the highest interest rate, and attack that one first while making minimum payments on the others. This saves you the most money in the long run. The snowball method. You list your debts from smallest to largest and pay off the smallest one first, regardless of interest. This gives you quick wins and momentum. Both methods work. The avalanche is smarter mathematically, but the snowball is often better psychologically. The key is not which one you choose, but that you commit to one and stick with it. Here's the mindset shift you need to make. Paying off debt is one of the best investments you can ever make. Think about it. If you pay off a credit card charging 20% interest, it's the same as getting a guaranteed 20% return on your money. Where else can you find a guaranteed 20% return? Nowhere. The stock market might average 7-10% a year, but debt repayment gives you instant, risk-free returns. Another important thing, don't fall into the trap of paying off debt only to pile it right back up again. It's like digging yourself out of a hole, then jumping back in. That's why you need to change not just the numbers in your bank account, but also your habits. If you've been leaning on credit cards, ask yourself why. Is it poor budgeting, impulse spending, trying to live above your means? Fixing the root cause is just as important as paying off the debt itself. And let me make this clear, not all debt is bad. Some debt can be leveraged like a mortgage on a property that appreciates in value, or a low-interest business loan that generates more revenue than it costs. But high-interest consumer debt, that's pure poison. It doesn't give you leverage, it just robs your future through a scenario. Say you've got 10 Zellos in the bank and 6,000 lows in credit card debt at 20% interest. A lot of people hesitate to use their savings to pay it off because they like having that safety cushion. But let's run the numbers. If you leave the 6 Davos Nellos in debt, You're losing over 100 a month in interest. Gone, wasted. If you throw your savings at it, you immediately stop that bleed. Sure, your savings account balance drops, but your net worth actually goes up because you're no longer weighed down by debt. That's a smarter move every single time. Here's another way to think about it. Carrying high interest debt while trying to invest is like driving with the brakes on. You're pressing the accelerator, but you're not moving forward nearly as fast as you could. Pay off the debt first, release the brakes, and then watch how much more effective your investments become. I'll give you one more real-world perspective. Imagine two people, Emma and Daniel, both have 10,000. Emma invests hers in the stock market, earning about 8% a year. Daniel uses his to pay off 10,000 in credit card debt at 20% interest. After 1 year, Emma makes her 800 in returns. Daniel saves 2,000 in interest payments. Who's ahead? Daniel, by a mile. That's the reality most people overlook. At the end of the day, high interest debt isn't just about money, it's about freedom. 8. Being in debt keeps you stressed, keeps you limited, and keeps you working for someone else's bank account instead of your own. When you're debt-free, you breathe easier. You can take more risks, invest smarter, and live with less anxiety. And that mental freedom is just as valuable as the financial gains. So, if you've got 10 and Zalosen in the bank, step 2 after your emergency fund is kill your high interest debt. Every dollar you use to destroy that debt is a dollar working for you instead of against you. Plug the hole, free yourself, the 48, and only then move on to growing your wealth. Make your money work through smart investing. Once you've got an emergency fund in place and you've cleared out high interest debt, the next step is where the fun really begins, making your money work for you. Because here's the truth, if your money is just sitting in the bank doing nothing, inflation is slowly eating away at it. And if you want to build wealth and change your life, you can't just save your way there. You've got to invest. Now, let's get one thing straight. Investing isn't about gambling or throwing money at whatever's trending. It's not about chasing quick wins or getting rich overnight. That's how people lose everything. Smart investing is about building long-term wealth, stacking consistent returns, and letting time and compound interest do the heavy lifting. So, how do you actually start if you've got 10 Zalosen? The first thing to understand is the power of compound growth. Albert Einstein famously called it the 8th wonder of the world, and he wasn't wrong. Here's how it works. Let's say you invest to hand 10,000 and earn just 8% a year. After the first year, you've got 10,800. But the next year, you're not just earning interest on 10 Zalosen, you're earning it on 10,800. Fast forward 20 years, and that 10 Zalosen could grow to almost 50 Zalosen without you adding a single extra penny. That's the magic of compounding. Your money works for you, even while you sleep. So where should you invest? That depends on your goals, your risk tolerance, and your timeline. But for most people starting out, the best approach is simple, diversified, and long-term. A great place to start is the stock market, specifically through index funds or ETFs, exchange-traded funds. These are basically baskets of stocks that track the overall market, like the S&P 500. Instead of trying to pick individual winners and losers, 8, you're investing in hundreds of companies at once. This spreads your risk and gives you steady market-level growth. Historically, the US stock market has returned about 7–10% annually over the long run. Not bad, right? Another option is real estate. Now, you might be thinking, "Wait, how can I invest in property with only 10,000? The truth is, you can. That money could be used as a down payment on a small rental property, 48. Or you could get into real estate through RAIS, real estate investment trusts, which let you invest in real estate without actually owning physical property. Real estate can be a great way to build passive income and hedge against inflation. Then there's the option of investing in yourself. This is something people often overlook, but it's one of the highest return investments you can make. Whether it's learning a new skill, taking a course, or starting a side business, investing in your knowledge and abilities can pay off massively. Think about it. A $2,000 course that helps you land a higher paying job or build a business could return far more than any stock market investment. But here's the thing, no matter what you choose to invest in, the key is consistency and patience. Too many people jump in, expect quick results, and panic when the market dips. That's a rookie mistake. Markets go up and down in the short term, but over the long haul, they trend upward. If you stay disciplined, ride out the storms, and keep investing regularly, you'll come out ahead. Let's do a quick comparison. Imagine two people, Sarah and Mike. Sarah invests $10,000 at age 25 and leaves it alone, earning 8% annually. Mike waits until he's 35 to start and also invests at $10,000. By the time they're 65, Sarah's investment has grown to about $100,000, while Mike's is only about $46,000. Same amount of money, different starting times. The difference is time in the market. That's why the earlier you start, the better. Now, some people might say, but what if I lose money? And yes, investing always comes with risk. That's why diversification is so important. Don't put all your money in one stock or one asset. Spread it out. Stocks, bonds, real estate, maybe even a small allocation to things like gold or other alternatives. That way, if one area struggles, the others balance it out. The mindset shift here is huge. Stop thinking of money as something to spend and start thinking of it as an employee. Every dollar you invest is like hiring a little worker. The more you invest, the more workers you've got. And if you give them enough time, they'll build you an empire. But remember, investing isn't just about getting rich. 8, it's about buying freedom. It's about creating a life where your money covers your expenses, so you're not stuck trading time for a paycheck forever. And that's the real goal, isn't it? Not just having more money, but having more control over your time and your future. So if you've got $10,000 sitting in the bank, don't let it collect dust. Don't let inflation nibble away at it. Put it to work. Start investing in assets that grow. Stay patient and let compounding do its magic. Because the earlier you start, the sooner you'll realize that your money isn't just money. It's a tool that can change your entire life. Invest in yourself and your future. We've talked about protecting yourself with an emergency fund, killing off high interest debt, and making your money work through smart investing. But there's one area people overlook far too often, and honestly, it's the most important one, investing in yourself. Because here's the truth. Your greatest asset isn't your bank balance, your stocks, or even your business. 8, it's you. Think about it. Your skills, your knowledge, your habits, your mindset, those are what determine how far you go in life. Money can be gained or lost. Investments can rise and fall. But if you've invested in yourself, you'll always have the ability to create more wealth, adapt to changes, and grab opportunities others miss off. So, how do you actually invest in yourself?
Let's break it down.
First, there's education and skills. I'm not necessarily talking about a traditional college degree, though for some careers that matters. I'm talking about continuous learning. The world is moving fast, and the people who thrive are the ones who keep upgrading themselves. That could mean learning a new skill in tech, mastering sales, improving your financial literacy, or developing leadership abilities. A 200 course today could help you land a promotion that pays you thousands more every year for the rest of your career. That's an insane return on investment. Second, consider health and well-being. This is one people forget, but it's massive. What's the point of building wealth if you're too stressed, burnt out, or unhealthy to enjoy it? Spending money on a gym membership, better food, or even therapy can be one of the smartest investments you'll ever make if staying fit and healthy adds even 10 more productive years to your life. That's worth far more than any stock market gain. And on a day-to-day basis, being healthy means you have more energy, more focus, and more drive to chase your goals. Third, there's relationships and networking. ever heard the saying, your network is your net worth? It's true. Many of the best opportunities in life don't come from a job ad or a random encounter. They come from people you know. The 48-8 investing in yourself could mean joining a mastermind group, attending industry events, or even taking someone successful out to lunch and learning from them. One good connection could change your entire career or business trajectory. And let's not forget mindset. You can hand two people the same and 10,000, and one will grow it into or 100,000 while the other will blow it in a month. The difference. Mindset. If you invest in your personal development, reading books, listening to mentors, training your mind to think bigger, you'll make better decisions with your money and your life. 8. The way you see yourself sets the limit for what you'll achieve. Raise that ceiling and suddenly possibilities open up that you never thought were possible. Here's an example. Imagine someone takes 2,000 of their 10,000 and invests it into a digital marketing course. They master the skill, start freelancing on the side, and within a year they're making an extra 15,000 a month. That's 12,000 a year, 6 times what they invested every single year. Compare that to leaving the same 200,000 in a savings account earning maybe 40 a year in interest. Which one sounds smarter? That's the difference between investing in yourself and playing it safe. But here's something else to consider. Investing in yourself isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about time. Taking an hour a day to read instead of scrolling social media. Spending weekends building a side hustle instead of binge watching shows. These aren't costs. They're investments. Every action compounds just like money does. Now, I'm not saying you should dump all 10,000 into courses, books, and seminars. Balance matters. You still need your emergency fund, you still need to invest, and you still need to pay off debt if you have it. But setting aside even 20% of that money for self-improvement can pay off in ways that ripple across your entire life. The truth is, the most successful people didn't just stumble into wealth. They built themselves into the kind of people who could handle it. They invested in knowledge, built confidence, developed discipline, and grew their skills until opportunities naturally came to them. That's what you need to aim for. So ask yourself, what's one skill, one habit, or one mindset shift that could completely change the game for you? Maybe it's learning how to sell, because sales is the foundation of every business. 8. Maybe it's getting financially literate so you stop making the same money mistakes. 8. Maybe it's improving your communication so you can influence people and lead effectively. Whatever it is, put some of that 10,000 into becoming the kind of person who not only attracts wealth, but knows how to keep it and multiply it. At the end of the day, investing in yourself is the one investment no one can ever take away from you. Markets crash, businesses fail, money comes and goes. But the skills you've built, 8, the knowledge you've gained, and the mindset you've developed, they stay with you forever. And when you combine that with smart financial moves, you don't just build wealth, you build a future where you're unstoppable. So if you've got 10,000 in the bank, remember this. The smartest move isn't just putting it into stocks, real estate, or savings. It's putting some of it into the one asset that appreciates more than any other. You.